This rate's going to take me 4 hours to record a video. Hello, I'm back. Did you miss me? It's been a while, hey. If this is your first time here, thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Kylie. I'm coming to you from tropical far north Queensland, Australia, where I live with my tradie husband and my obligatory knitter's cat in our little beach shack in this gorgeous part of the world that I get to call home. This is mostly a knitting podcast. I talk equally about knitting and shopping for knitting supplies. I do this on my own and it can be hard to produce enough content, so what I don't produce in knitting content I make up for in shopping, or at least I do this particular podcast. For anybody who's trying to find me anywhere else on the interwebs, all of my contact details are down below, but you can find me on Ravelry as Kylie G, on Instagram as I am Kylie G, hence the name of this podcast, I am Kylie G. Each episode I do some pretty detailed notes, show notes, and I link everything in the down bar below. So if you click on the little chevron-like button at the bottom, that will bring up all of the show notes. Please, if you enjoy this podcast, please give me a thumbs up. And I'd love for you to subscribe to the channel. YouTube like that sort of stuff. And it also helps to keep the knitting chat going. I read every single comment, and at the moment I'm managing to respond to every comment. The nice ones. The ones that are a little bit spammy, I delete. So, thankfully haven't had many of those. Hopefully you can hear me all right. I've got a little bit of a new setup in terms of lighting and sound, so this is all very fake it till you make it in this little corner of the web. Today is Monday the 19th. I think it's the 19th of September. The Queen's funeral takes place our time at 8 o'clock tonight, and as an avid royal lover, I will be tuning in. I actually haven't had an opportunity to see an awful lot of the content that's come out since Her Majesty has passed, because I've been busy with work and that sort of thing. So this is episode 10. My God. Who would have thought it? So what am I going to talk about today? Let's get to the nitty content, hey? Enough chit chat. I've got a finished object, sadly only one, believe it or not. I have had a major knitting catastrophe that I'm happy to share with you so you don't make the same mistake. Rookie error. Really. Yeah. Rookie error. That was kind of devastating at the time, but I've moved past it. I've moved on. I'll share that with you as well. I've made some progress on my whips, and I've got a brand new cast on, which is a little bit exciting. Something to share with you. And as always, I've done loads of shopping. I have been asked by my husband to stop shopping. Anyway, let's get on with the nitty content. So first things first, what am I wearing? Now this isn't a shawl I wear all that often. I've actually got a t-shirt, just a plain old t-shirt on underneath it. It's starting to get warm here. Now I live in the southern hemisphere, because that's where Australia is, as you well know. And when most of the people who watch this podcast tune in, because they're mostly in the States and the UK and Canada, the weather is the opposite to what you're experiencing. So you're starting to enjoy some cooler days and some sweater weather. Not here. No, it's starting to warm up. Today I think it was about 24-25 degrees Celsius. I'll put on the screen what that is in Fahrenheit, no clue, but I've had the air conditioning on for the better part of the day here at home. I'm sitting here in a pair of shorts, a t-shirt and a woolen shawl. So what am I wearing? I actually don't tend to wear this terribly often because it's an awkward shape for me to wear, but it's the Ohra shawl. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, by Caitlin Hunter. Now I did the tassel, but I didn't do the fringe. I've knit this in, I know you're shocked, once again, Lolodidit, in the Folsom colourway, which is this gorgeous grey that is a bit of a staple in my stash. Always have it in my stash. And a really super simple lace pattern, but I'm not sure if you can see. Let's see if I can get that. But there's this gorgeous cable that runs the centre spine of the shawl. There's just enough grey in there for interest. So it's a 3-colour shawl. I think this would look equally stunning in 1 colour. The Ohra shawl. It's something I would knit again because it was fun to knit. But it's really, I struggle to wear it. So if anybody's got any advice on how to wear a triangle shawl, short of, just wrapping it around your shoulders like a nana, please let me know. How do you stylishly wear a triangle shawl? I suppose I could Google that, couldn't I? So I'm just wearing this over just a plain grey t-shirt. I'm very casual today. But yeah, I really enjoyed doing this. I really enjoyed the knit. So yeah, anyway, now I'm faffing about with it. It's going to look a bit silly, isn't it? Anyway, that's what I'm wearing. I made this, gosh, I think it might have been one of the first shawls I made. The first shawl I ever did make was the Find Your Fade by the gorgeous Andrew Mowry. I knew I'd remember it. No, it's not wine, it's tea. So that's what I'm wearing today. So this is Lolodidit. It's a fingering weight. I knit most of my stuff in fingering weight because of where I live, So another finished object I have, high vis socks number 2. I actually only weaved in the ends yesterday. It got finished weeks ago while I was away for work. I travelled up into Cape York. We opened a brand new health facility in Cape York, and I was actually away from home for a couple of weeks and sadly didn't get a lot of knitting time. I was just so knackered at the end of the day that I basically cooked dinner and went to bed. Because it was some pretty hard work. But this is, I'd finished one sock on the last podcast, and my only other finished object is the other sock. So I knit these, let me tell you about them. if this is the first time you're watching, this is a bit of a staple yarn for me. It's Nundle Woolen Mill Merino Nylon Sock. Nundle Woolen Mill is an Australian producer of yarn in New South Wales, not far from where I used to live. I've used the lime colourway for the cuff, heels and toes, and my standard recipe in the navy colourway. So these are actually my husband's work colours, his logo colours. So these socks wear really, really well. I wash them in the washing machine. Well, I don't, he does. So now I do too. I'm happy to hand wash my socks. I figure we spend so much time making them, you know, nursing them through the wash is not hard, or it shouldn't be hard. Anyway, my standard recipe, which is on my Ravelry page, but I've always used, this is my now, you go to Heel Flap and Gusset, which is the honeycomb heel. And I like it because there's no purling. It's all knitting and it's so pretty. I don't know that it wears all that much better or differently to a standard heel toe and gusset, you know, sort of the rib that people do. I don't like the rib. I think it looks a little boring, but, well, not boring. I think that's pretty. So that's my one and only finished object. I know, right? Terrible. But I'll explain to you why in a moment. So there we go. So they haven't even been blocked, and I don't think I will block them. Yeah, I don't know whether I will or I won't. But they can go in his drawer now and he'll wear them straight away. So my one and only finished object. Shocking. Anyway. My whips. I've got three whips at the moment, and you've seen all but one of them. So as you know, or may not know, I immediately cast on, after I finished my first half and half wrap here, I immediately cast on another one because they are just that much fun to knit. I'm in the middle of a row. I'm never in the middle of a row. It must just happen when you start to podcast. You're just like, yeah. Honest to goodness, I am never in the middle of a row. I will make people wait for me to finish a row. I'm so paranoid about losing my stitches. So I'm going to sit and knit for a bit. So this is my half and half wrap. It's my second one. I'm knitting it out of the Holst yarn, in the Coast base. Now the Coast base is 50, I think I said last time it was 50% cotton, 50% merino, and I actually think it's 55-45. Yeah, 55 wool, 45 cotton, I'm pretty sure, although it's not written in English on the inside, but I think that's what it says. So I would call this a light fingering to lace weight yarn. It is really an affordable price point, incredibly affordable, and I buy it in these large cones because the freight is I think the freight is quite reasonable, and I I struggle not to jump on and buy it just because I like looking at the cones. So this is my half and half wrap. This is the Ecru colourway. Oh, I might have to do that later because it's going to take me a little while. So I'm on to the second colour clearly, but I'm about a third of the way through across. So I've only cast on 270 stitches or whatever it is that the pattern called for this time. This particular one I cast on 300 stitches, which was just madness. I don't know what I was thinking, but this is just, I just love the pattern. I've never been a real huge fan of garter stitch like this, but I'm coming around. I'm really liking it. I like the different ways you can wear this shawl, and I may very well have one on my needles for a very long time. So when I last spoke to you, I think I was about this far in, so I'd really only just started the other colour. This has been my go-to knitting when I'm just sitting down with friends out on the back deck and, you know, they're chatting away, and I'll bring this out because I don't have to think about it too much. It's great TV knitting. Yeah, so that's whip number 2. I've got this in my Joji Locatelli Pamper bucket. This is a white one. I love her bags. I'd like to get myself a brown one. You know, like a tan coloured one. I need it like I need a hole in the head, but these are my go-to bags at the minute. So whip number 1. There we go. Now, whip number 2. You haven't seen this one. I'm going to save the next one, the other one that you have seen, because, yeah, there was a bit of a nightmare that took place. So, always like to have a sock on the needles. I was hoping to do a pair of socks a month, but that lasted until March, and then work got in the way and other knitting got in the way. So I can knit a sock in a day if I just sit and do nothing else, but sadly the house doesn't clean itself and the ironing doesn't do itself, and I work full time, so I'm yet to master knitting and walking. I think my husband would be mortified if I started doing that, but he doesn't walk with me, so I could give it a try. Anyway, this is a sock that I'm knitting top down, and I've just made up a little pattern. It's got this little faux cable down each side, and that will actually run across the top of the foot, I think. And then I'll come back and do something cute at the top. But I just cast on. I was just feeling quite creative. It was a down day. We weren't working. We had a fatigue management day in the middle of our trip away, and I just cast this on. It's a little full row repeat. It's mostly, you know, potato chippy knitting. But yeah, I just cast this sock on. Now, again, I'm knitting this in the Nundle Merino nylon sock yarn, 4-ply, and this is the Cumin colourway, Cumin. I'll link to it below. This is great, really affordable yarn also. I think I pay $7.95 Australian, which is like $3 American, US, which is just, you know, incredibly reasonable and soft. It comes in a ton of colours. So that's, I don't know that I'm going to sort of, you know, bust a banana to get this finished. It's just nice to have something. This is my handbag knitting. I take it to work with me. I don't knit generally at work. I only have a very short lunch break so that I can go home earlier. So I don't actually do a great deal of knitting at work, but this is my handbag knitting. So that's in a little bag. This is the first ever knitting bag I made myself. I just made it out of fat quarters from just cheap fat quarters. I just stitched it. It was a bit of fun one afternoon rather than knitting. So whip number 2. Now, you know how I'm knitting the Fancy AF cardigan by Petite Knits. I think it's called the Simple Cardigan. It's not, the name's here. And I'm holding, again, this seems to be the sponsored by Nundle. I swear I'm not sponsored by Nundle Woolen Mill at all. I'm holding this yarn, which is very fancy. Somewhere in here is okay, yes. It is the alpaca, merino and silk base, which is 50% alpaca, 40% merino, 10% silk. Right? Pretty fancy. And I'm holding that with the Kremke silk. Oh, Soul Wool, it's called Silky Kid. So this is mohair and silk. Okay, so that's what I'm holding together. I think where is that? Oh, here it is. Okay. So I cast this on and knit, and then packed it up and to take it away with me, and I'd knit a sleeve. I'll put a picture here of where I was up to. Awesome. Until I was sitting in the sun while I was away, sitting in a different spot to where I normally sit, and you could tell so clearly where I had changed my mohair over. So I started with a particular mohair that I had, and then I realised I wasn't going to have enough, so I just ordered some more in what I thought was the same colour. But I'm going to put a picture here of the difference. Now, it was as clear as mud when I was sitting outside, but when I tried to take a photo of it, I actually had to fiddle with the levels of the photo that you're now seeing here or here, to make sure that, so that I could show you how weird and different it was. It was awful. Anyway, I ummed and ahed, and I thought, no, I'm going to keep knitting, and I'll dye it, because I'd gotten quite a ways. Like I'd split for sleeves. I'd almost finished knitting a sleeve. And you know, knitting a sleeve is like knitting a front or a, you know, it was a lot of knitting. Anyway, I then took it outside to show my colleague who was travelling with me. He's a bloke, you know, nice bloke, but, you know. And I said, can you see what I can see? And he said, oh, you're striping it. No, I'm not. It was pretty obvious. So I, rather than ripping it out then and there, I just put it in timeout. But I was limited. I didn't have a lot of other knitting with me when I was away. So, and this is just nice to knit on. So I curled up in bed at night with a cup of tea, you know. I'd do a row or two and then turn the light out. But it was just really nice to knit on. Anyway, so I cast it on again. Meanwhile, the other one was in timeout. I just put in timeout. Then I got home and realised, did a little bit of a recce on how much yarn I had. This is the jumper that just makes me go shopping. And realised that I'm probably not going to have enough of this to finish the jumper. The alpaca, the pink. Certainly got enough of this now because I ordered this separately. Anyway, all that to say, I've ordered another 2 skeins of this. I cast it on and I've got some video here of me ripping it out. It was awful. But what I actually managed to do, I don't know if I've got it. That one. Was I managed to be able to, I've used it all, wound it off together, the two, and it worked okay. And then when I got to the top where I'd used a whiter version of mohair, I separated it and I ended up with, I've got all these little balls. I'll put a photo here of what it looked like. Oh, it was heartbreaking. But years and years ago, not long after I first started knitting, somebody said to me, whenever you make a mistake in your knitting, really good idea is to rip it back, get it to where you need it to go again, or restart, or whatever it is that you need to do, and just get on with it. Because once you've done that, you will be so much happier. And you will get on and finish the project. Otherwise, you end up with something that ends up sitting in timeout for a very long time. So, all that to say, I've now gotten to the point where I've split for pockets. So I'm actually putting pockets in. It's got pockets. Have you seen that on Instagram? That anyway. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. It's got pockets. This is my beading string that I get from just my local craft store for next to nothing. Pony cord or whatever it is. And I'm knitting these on 4mm Chowboo needles. And it's going to be quite lovely. I'm very keen to get this off my needles. because I've got a bit of a busy October coming up with some projects that I'm going to talk to you about now. My dream knitting. So that is the petite knit simple cardi with pockets. It's going to be delightful. It'll be really lovely. I'm probably not going to get to wear it now until next summer, until next winter. So it will get finished, and if it doesn't get finished before the end of this month, it'll probably go into time out. Now I've got that in my favourite Joji Locatelli pamper bucket in the pink. These are great bags, really, really useful. So, oh, sorry, I have got another whip. Oh no. When you know, right? Okay. I do have another whip. I haven't really done a lot on it. I've done a little on it. It's a little bit bigger than it was. Oops. Don't you hate it when that happens? I can do this later. Oh, I've actually dropped stitches. Okay, this is my Queensland shawl that I'm making out of yarn entirely from northwestern New South Wales, which is where Queensland is. I think I was there, so I did a little bit of road knitting, but yeah, not a lot. So yeah, it's not much really, is it? Okay, so dream knitting. I'm going to have to excuse me. Grab some stuff here. So I did a little bit of shopping for my dream knitting. Now, you remember that we discussed, and if you haven't heard me talk about it, the sequin top. I haven't done any more on this. I wanted to make sure I could actually get additional sequin yarn. So this is a 2mm sequin yarn in it's a ballet colourway, that I'm going to pair with Victorian colourway by Northbound Knitting in their 50% merino, 50% silk. Now I'm going to do a cowley type t-shirt top to wear out. A little bit of sequin. Now if you've watched the most recent Grocery Girls podcast, they talk about this sequin yarn a lot. And I've got a fair bit of it. Got it in rainbow black here. Rainbow? Yeah, it is. It's rainbow. So I've got a fair bit of it in other colours. But if I was going to do a top with this yarn, I needed to buy some more. I'm not going to take it out because it's exactly the same. So I had to hunt around the internet a little bit to find it. But I now have enough to knit the t-shirt that I want with this yarn. So that's a little bit of dream knitting. It took a long time to get here. It's not long arrived. So that's an update on the night out. It's actually, I'm thinking I'll knit it for my niece's wedding. You know you're old when your niece is getting married, hey? She's such a sweet soul too. And I'll wear that with a charcoal skirt. Or I'll just buy a new dress. Who knows? But yeah, that's some dream knitting. So I'm not sure what pattern I'm going to do yet. I'm thinking I may even design my own t-shirt. Saddle shoulder. It's exciting. That could be really lovely. Now, I'm very keen to get things off my needles, and I'm resisting the urge to cast on anything new because I've thrown my hat in the ring. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to the West Knits Stephen West Mystery Cowl. Stephen West's Mystery Knit Along. Now, I did it last year and I gifted that shawl to my sister. But I've knit another one of his patterns. Oh, it's down here. This is his exploration station. And it's just... it's art. It's art, and you knit art. And that was certainly the reaction my sister had when she saw the shawl that I'd knit last year. So I went out on a limb and I just thought, you know what, I'm going to do it. So I did a bit of shopping and then I placed an order for some yarn, and then the next day I placed another order from the same place because I wasn't sure about the colours I'd chosen. So now I don't know what I'm knitting. What colours? You ready? Because this is pretty friggin' epic. When you know, you know. So this is the MCN base. It's fingering from La Bien Aimée. So I got, this colour is parchment. Oh, now I've opened it all. So the Stephen West Knit Along calls for 5 skeins of yarn, 2 of one colour, 2 of another, and a pop. So I've got 2 of that one. I ordered 10 skeins, right? Just, it's not like it won't get used. Mind you, will it? I've actually got enough yarn to outlive me if I never bought another skein. Anyway, here we go. So I thought parchment, and this one is called ash. Parchment and ash. With some Bois de Rosé. Bois de Rosé. That's pretty, isn't it? But that was the one I ordered first. And I thought, oh, it's just so typical of me. I mean, there's sort of the colours that I order and I'm drawn to all the time. But if you look behind me, it's kind of, it's what I always knit. Knitted. step it up, I thought. So then the other colour combo, so this colour here is called Bone, Caramel, and the pop, Isle of Arran. What do you think? Do I go brown and blue or grey and pink? Let me know down below what you think. Help me decide. That's pretty stunning. That's not stunning. Or any combination there. Oh, look. I'm not ordering more. So I actually originally promised myself that I would only knit from stash. If I didn't have yarn for the West Knits cow, I wasn't going to do it. Who was I kidding? That's not all I bought. We're into acquisitions now, clearly. I was at Kmart on a couple of weeks ago, just looking at some fun stuff. Oh, hang on, let me tell you. Oh, no, I've got more yarn. I'm an Aussie, so I figured it was time I needed to start showcasing some Aussie yarn. So I have been looking for a gorgeous green for a very long time, and this is Yarns by the Bay. I'll link them below. They're on Instagram and Facebook. Yarns by the Bay, hand dyed in Melbourne. They're on Etsy, and this is called Optilian Green. It's their sock base. How gorgeous is that green? I think that I've got enough here to make a t-shirt, little t-shirt for myself. I've got 3 skeins, 19.5 microns. It's so soft, it's just lovely. And it comes with this gorgeous little card and a cedar ball. Now I use cedar in all of my yarny stash to keep the bugs away. It's fabulous. I get my husband to sand it for me, and I bury it into all of my little my baskets here. So that, and that's not all. I have a yarn by Jane. Lives not far from where we used to live, and I jumped on and I saw this gorgeous colour. It just reminded me of fruit tingles or confetti. I thought it would make a gorgeous little hat for my granddaughter. Pink, yellow, green. That's what it's called. Pink, yellow, green. And it is pink, yellow and green. It just looks like a fruit tingle. So just gorgeous. That's a hat for my granddaughter. And then this I thought would look just gorgeous in a shawl. Kissed by a Rose is the name of this colourway. It's got some gorgeous pinks and greens and cream. But you see a theme, don't you? Pink, green, grey, cream. Tend to be pretty predictable. But how gorgeous is that? That's it for yarn. I actually don't think I've got any more coming. No, I haven't. And I'm not going to for a little while. That La Biena may buy kind of... Yeah, that was over the top. Next level madness. Now, get that out of the road. Do you like my jar of leftovers? How cool is this? It's just a cereal jar from the Kmart. And I've got 3 of them because I've got that many scraps. But it's a yarn stash. They're really about $12, which I thought was great. So I picked up a few. The rest are in the laundry at the moment, still waiting to be unwrapped. When yarn becomes decor. And then the other thing, I mentioned that I use cedar to keep my wool happy. This I got from Kmart as well, and it's got little... Bring it up so you can see it. It's got little holes in them, so you can hang it over the top of your coat hanger. But I just sand these and throw them in. Well, I don't sand them. My husband sands them and throw them into my yarn stash here. So yeah, that's my tip for you today. Yeah, great way to keep your yarn happy. So there we go. And I think that's about everything. Like I said, not a lot of knitting content this time around. I'm really keen to get some stuff off my needles and get some stuff on my needles. I'm trying to be quite monogamous in my knitting. Mind you, if my sock and my half and half wrap don't come to fruition, that's okay. But I really would like to get them finished. So, if you're still here, thanks so much for hanging around. I had a couple of comments from my last video for me to share some footage of the opening up in Cape York and some of the trip up into Cape York. I've taken some photos and that sort of stuff. I don't know what it'll look like because I did it sort of whilst I was in work mode, so a little bit challenging, and my head really wasn't in YouTube land when I recorded this stuff or took the photos. So I'll try and piece something together that looks kind of cohesive. But you know, I'm not a filmmaker. I create content and organise projects for my organisation. So I'm not a professional YouTuber, but you probably already know that. That's pretty obvious. But if you're still here and are interested in that, I'll tack some stuff on to the end about that. In terms of life update, there really isn't a great deal going on. I'm going to work and I've got a short week this week, so Australia's got a public holiday on Thursday for the Queen's passing, which is just it's a sad way to get a public holiday, but I'm quite thankful. So I've got a short work week this week. It's been my husband's birthday. We've been celebrating that. it seems to be the birthday that just keeps on coming. I think that's, you know, we've had a couple of big weekends. And it's almost October, which just blows my mind, absolutely blows my mind. But yeah, so I'm going to stick some stuff in at the end of my trip. If you're at all interested, please hang around and watch that. Your homework, if you're still here, is, if you could like this video, give this video a thumbs up. YouTube really like that, and it helps the channel. If you are here watching me again and think you will enjoy the content that I share, please subscribe to the channel and hit the bell. Give me all of that, you know, gorgeous YouTube love. It helps grow the channel and helps let me know that I'm doing the right thing and sharing stuff that you're interested in watching. So your homework, thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and finally, for the love of all things blissful, help me decide on my MCAL colours in my gorgeous Lubby NMA yarn, MCN. Did I say it was MCN? It's MCN. Help me decide what I'm going to knit. Until next time, if you're not knitting something you love, stop! Cast on something that is going to bring you nothing but joy, because knitting is fun. It should be fun. Until next time, thanks for stopping into my beach shack. See ya.